what happened. The cop lied and said, "Oh, I never touched the man." He blamed the victim's injuries on the fall, according to the indictment. The case was then investigated by the FBI and prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Brian C. Flanagan and trial attorney Thomas Johnson of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Wheels of justice moving in the right direction. I still don't think 6 years is enough. And the reason is because of the position of this cop. When you are a police officer, you should be held to a higher standard of accountability, not a lower and not even the same, higher. All right, this is another case where we have seen the Civil Rights Division get more involved in the DOJ. Happy to see that happening finally. Still needs to be stronger. Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, definitely glad we're seeing some justice. I agree, his sentence should have been longer. But a lot of the time they just use that, if not most of the time, they just use that, stop resisting as a way to cover themselves.
Right.
Because clearly the man was posing no real threat at the time. So again, happy to see a little bit of justice here.
Yeah, and remember, a cop told us directly, it's on like the head. That means the cop knows that particular strike can kill the individual, and it is warranted in that case. Well, obviously, not in this one. Cop pulls over the chief of police for a neighboring jurisdiction. The chief gets upset as if somehow he should never be pulled over. And then he does something after this to harm communications as it relates to public safety because he's mad. Here's the first video.
Say hello, was that illegal?
No, sir. The reason why we're stopping you is because it's a wind intent violation.
I blinked my blue lights at you to let you know who I was.
Yes, sir. Well, we didn't know with it. That's not a government tag.
That is a unofficial tag. Okay. That tag's not even on file.
I see. Yes. Well, we have to catch up the bill to run it and everything like that, sir.
So I won't blink my blue lights at you next time. I'll let you just sit there. I was just speaking. I'm the police chief in Zebulon.
Well, nice to meet you, sir.
Matt Polk worked for me. Your chief worked for me.
Yes, sir. There's no need to get upset.
I'm upset because I spoke to you when I come by, and now you're pulling me over.
I've never met you a day in my life.
I understand that.
Right.
Why are you being hostile?
Easy. I don't have to talk to you.
Okay.
Easy. I'm not talking to you.
Why are you being hostile right now?
Are y'all gonna write me a ticket? Are you gonna write me a ticket?
Sir, we're just trying.
I'm the police chief in Zebulon. You wanna write me a ticket?
Why are you coming up to me like that? I'm doing my job, right?
What are you stopping for?
I'm stopping you for one. The windows get dark. You flashed your blue lights. Okay, you know how many officers have blue lights?
Are you writing me a ticket? Yes or no?
I'm conducting my investigation.
Are you writing me a ticket? I'm fixing to leave.
Do you have your driver's license?
Sure, I have my driver's license.
Literally.
Lock his ass up for obstruction or something. All right. Okay, here's reality. This chief, his name is Jonathan Hempfield. He was dealt with by those local officers in a neighboring jurisdiction. Here's what happened next.
I'm fixing to make it a whole lot more. Your boss works.
1111. I'm out here with Illinois.
Just like anybody else. Okay? Thank you.
First, when we ran the tag, it came back to like a Dodge Ram, so we're just confirming it's not. Yes, sir.
It's a ghost tag.
Yes, sir. We're making
anything back on that tag.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're just.
You must have run it wrong. You must have run it wrong because you wouldn't come back to a Dodge Ram.
We were confirmed it. They let us know and everything.
So it's still coming back to a Dodge Ram now?
Sir, can I ask why you're so upset?
Is it still coming back to a Dodge Ram?
No, we got it fixed. Why are you so upset?
No, you didn't fix it. Is it still coming back to a Dodge Ram right now?
No, it came back 905.
That's right, because you run it wrong.
Sir,
somebody run it wrong. Either you did or they did.
We're about to get the information.
Okay, I got your chief on the phone right now. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Can you calm down for us, please?
I appreciate your service. I appreciate your service.
All right.
I'm just saying, I spoke to you guys. I didn't have to do that. I could have eased on by y'all. I appreciate the job y'all out here doing.
Chief, I'm trying to be respectful with you.
I understand that. I understand.
I'm not raising my voice or nothing at you, right?
I understand.
All right, let's.
But I'm trying to tell you,
respectful to one
the only thing I done wrong was spoke. Y'all never would have pulled me over if I hadn't flicked my blue license.
No, sir. No, we were going to pull you. Actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm telling you straight up, okay?
Okay. All right.
But like I said, there's people out here impersonating police officers with blue lights.
Well, you threw my she threw my license. If she is getting for me,
she'll bring it to you, sir.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to talk with you.
I don't want to talk anymore about it.
All righty.
Wow. After this happened, there's a report that says the police chief that you saw in that video decided to engage in tactics that violated or harmed communications, emergency communications, radio communications between the two jurisdictions because he was upset at the neighboring jurisdiction. Obviously, an investigation is underway. Wow. Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, this was just wild. Like this guy was just, riled up on some shots. So I don't know, but he was just like, okay. And the people were even, they were cordial. They were like, dude, why are you tripping? Because he was really just acting like a little kid.
I like the spirit of that one female officer who said, hold on, bruh. Why are you walking up on me like this? Anyway, listen, I respect people that stand up to power. I really do. And in that moment, I don't know anything else about that police officer. She stood up to power and seemed to be quite comfortable with it. So shouts out to her.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it was just a pretty bizarre situation. And I mean, there's really not much else to say about it. The dude was tripping. The dude was out of line, acting like a little kid.
Looks like he was tripping even beyond that moment, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was having a bad day. Looks like he just has a bad life. All right, dear brother, always a pleasure having you on the show. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Oh, absolutely. You can check me out on Rebel HQ, and I also have a podcast called Politics and Paper. You can find it on all platforms, or just find it on YouTube at youtube.com/@politicsandpaper. I'm actually doing a show tonight, so check me out.
Love it, dear brother. Very proud of your continued success, my friend.
Appreciate you. Always good to be here.
Same. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.
Welcome to the show. We are so glad that you are here. And you know what? I got one of my faves here in the place today, the one and only Mike Figueredo. Mike, it is so good to have you, host of the Humanist Report. You want to check that out if you want somebody to lay it down like it's rarely laid down. Mike is the person. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be back. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here where we have some positive things to talk about. It feels weird, doesn't it? Like this isn't
does feel
what we
very
expect.
Weird. Yeah,
but
we're going to
welcome.
We were saying even if it lasts 5 minutes, we will take this good news.
Absolutely. Anything.
Absolutely.
I'm desperate.
Desperate for some good news. Yes, we are. So we have a wonderful update regarding Brittney Griner. As all of you know, on this show, on Unbossed, we have kept her story alive. Our show debuted on October the 17th. We have been talking about what has been happening to Brittney Griner every single day on this show. And we are so happy and excited about the update that we have today. We're also talking about the landmark legislation protecting same-sex marriages. And later in the show, we will discuss how Fox News is on cleanup duty from years of election disinformation. So here we go with Brittney Griner. Watch this.
Good morning, everybody. We are following breaking news at this hour out of Russia, nearly 10 months after her arrest and incarceration there. WNBA star Brittney Griner is headed home.
Yeah, breaking and welcome news. Russia has agreed to a prisoner swap with the U.S.
Well, according to a senior administration official, Brittney Griner is free after 294 days in Russian captivity. The last month spent in one of Russia's notoriously harsh penal colonies. She was traded for Russian arms dealer Victor Bout.
294 days and hashtag we are BG. Brittney Griner is free. Hello, somebody. Yes, underline that, bold that, italicize it, put it in a message, in a bottle, on a train, baby. Do whatever is necessary. We are so excited that she is home and so happy for both her and her family. And we've been reminding you of this every single day without fail. I am so proud of our show for helping to keep this story alive. And many are celebrating and this welcome news right now, especially Brittney's family. They are the ones who are celebrating the most, and rightfully so. Watch this.
So over the last 9 months, you all have been so privy to one of the darkest moments of my life. And so today I'm just standing here overwhelmed with emotions, but the most important emotion that I have right now is just sincere gratitude for President Biden and his entire administration. He just mentioned this work is not easy, and it has not been. There's been so many hands involved. Thank you, everybody, for your support. And today it's just a happy day for me and my family. So I'm gonna smile right now.
We absolutely love to see it. And through Sherelle, even through the joy, she had a very important reminder for us. Watch this.
Today my family is whole, but as you all are aware, there's so many other families who are not whole. And so BG's not here to say this, but I will gladly speak on her behalf and say that BG and I will remain committed to the work of getting every American home, including Paul, whose family is in our hearts today. As we celebrate BG being home, we do understand that there are still people out here who are enduring what I endured the last 9 months of missing tremendously their loved ones.
And so glad that she, even in her moment of joy, paused to remind us that Paul Whelan is still there, has not been free. And then Dave Whelan, Paul Whelan's brother, also took note of Brittney's release. Let's put this up. It's great news. Anytime an American comes home, it's wonderful news. I'm so glad for Brittney and Sherelle. It's a wonderful day. And here's some more details on how this all played out, how the negotiations played out. The move marks one of the most high-profile prisoner swaps between Moscow and Washington since the Cold War, with the Kremlin seeing the return of Victor Bout, who Russian President Vladimir Putin has been wanting to get back, and who has served 11 of a 25-year sentence in the United States of America. Mike, a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, it's not often that we get good news, but this is really good news. This is really significant. You know, I think that when I think about this story, the biggest thing that always stands out to me is how Brittney's family just had no idea what was going to happen. Brittney had no idea. How long would this be? Would it be years? Would it be months? And so the uncertainty itself is a killer. But there's also this aspect of, does the Biden administration care as much as they say that they do? Because we know that conservatives couldn't care less about this given their reaction. I mean, this is a black gay woman. So do they care? And judging by the response, it seems like they genuinely don't care. I saw her, one right winger called her, it was Benny Johnson, said she was a mediocre athlete and a wokester. But I think that Mike from PA, I just want to share his tweet really quick. He had a really phenomenal response. She is one of 11 women to win an Olympic gold medal, an NCAA championship, FIBA World Cup gold medal, and a WNBA championship. So we know that if this was a male athlete, it would be a lot different. So the whole question in my mind was, does our government care about women, particularly black women and black gay women? And it seems as if I'm a little bit more hopeful after today, but the response is still disgusting, but I'm trying to put that out of my head because this is genuinely good news. And I don't want the doomerism in me and the horrible toxicity that we're seeing from the right to kind of cloud all of this, because this really is cause for celebration. This is huge.
Yeah, Mike, it is huge. And I'm with you too. How do we strike the balance between, or not even balance, it's the realization that this is indeed an extraordinary day for Brittney Griner, her family, and for our country. And at the same time, we have other Americans over there that we need to bring home. And then at the same time, dealing with the foolishness and mayhem of the GOP in this moment. It's kind of hard, and we got to deal with all of those things at the same time. Now, while today certainly is a day without a doubt, Mike and I agree on this, a day for great celebration. It is important to remember why Brittney Griner was arrested in the first place. Let us not forget. So we're gonna take you down memory lane on this. The WNBA star, 31, was detained in Russia on February the 17th of this year for allegedly possessing cannabis oil in her luggage after arriving in Moscow for New York City. On August the 4th, she was sentenced to 9 years in prison following a weeks-long trial. Sherelle, her wife at the time, still her wife right now, but at the time that Sherelle was talking about this situation, she highlighted it this way. Take a look.
The first conversation, it was just so delightful just to hear her voice. At that point, I was like, you know what? I think she's okay. The second phone call, the minute I hung up, I think I cried for about 2-3 days straight. I did not get out of my bed. It was the most disturbing phone call I'd ever experienced. And I've known BG 11 years. You could hear it. Like, you could hear that she was not okay. You know, if you think about just a person suffering and when they have suffered to a max, like, you could hear that, like, she was at the max that day. And I'm like, God.
At the max that day, which further reminds us about the sigh of relief that BG and her family are enjoying right now at this moment. And take a look at this headline. Brittney Griner fears facing inhumane treatment at Russia's penal colonies where abuse is common, disease is rampant, and labor is forced. That was from Yahoo News at the time. It's also an evergreen reminder, though, that the reason Brittney Griner was in Russia was because she was given the chance to earn more money. We don't want to forget about that. Mike had brought up a point about, had BG been a male athlete, you know, the GOP and other haters would be acting differently. We also know, had she been a male NBA player, the likelihood that she would even have to consider going to Russia would be different. Let us not forget she was there to try to make extra money because there is pay disparity in the NBA/WNBA, and women make nowhere near the amount that their male counterparts make. Let's put up this note. As of a union agreement signed in 2020, the average income of a WNBA player was less than $130,000, with salaries maxing out somewhere around $500,000. It's a stark contrast to the salaries earned by top male NBA players, which often go up to tens of millions of dollars. We should not forget that, and we should continue to fight for pay equity, not just for athletes, but for women all across the board. Mike?
Yeah, I think that you put it just beautifully. I mean, this story really is the intersection of a lot of issues with our country. And part of it is, the WNBA, anytime we see athleticism with regard to women, usually there's just a lack of concern there. And so that's why I think there was so much cynicism surrounding this case, because it just seems like, does anyone even care? Like, this is not just an American hero, but when you juxtapose like the possibility of a male athlete, it really makes you think, wow, we don't value everyone equally in this country. She is a hero for all intents and purposes. If she were able to accomplish what she accomplished and she were a man, that she would be propped up as one of the greats, a legend. And so it's just to see this be the outcome, to know that her family finally has relief, it really feels good to see. It's one of those wholesome moments to where we can actually really value and appreciate something that was accomplished by the Biden administration, because they do get credit here. I'm critical of the Biden administration, but here they did do good. I think that fighting and not giving up was important for her family, but to listen to her wife with just knowing that everything is out of her control and that your loved one is suffering. I mean, I don't know how she'd even be able to function. It'd be so difficult. So to know that this nightmare has come to an end is really important. But this kind of should give us the desire and urgency to continue to fight for these issues, continue to fight for pay equity, continue to fight for equality more broadly speaking. And going back to the original reason why she was imprisoned in the first place, I mean, it's absurd to think that she allegedly had cannabis oil. I live in Oregon. Tomorrow I'll probably go to the local pot shop and buy an ounce of weed. It's just the world is a crazy place. So to get a little bit of good news, and I sound like a broken record, but it's so you can probably hear the astonishment in my voice that there's actually something happy to talk about. We do have to hold on to these moments because they really are important, and it should give us the incentive to keep fighting, because sometimes good things can happen. And this is huge.
Yeah, we needed this fuel to help us continue to fight. I'm right with you, Mike. And even as we look at Russia and the reasons, and we know they did this to her as a fight against the administration itself, this really had very little to do with Brittney. If we dig a little deeper, they were trying to use her for a larger point. And let's also not forget that even in this country, I mean, you're talking about Oregon, Mike, and Denver, there are other places in the country where both recreational and medicinal use of cannabis is legal. There are places where it is not. And we know that there's so many people and their families and their lives have been ruined right here in the United States of America because of the war on drugs that had a disproportionately terrible impact on Black and brown communities and poor communities of all walks of life. And we need to deal with that right now in the United States of America. And this story is you're right, the intersection of this story is absolutely amazing. And while rational people are celebrating this as a win, we got a whole bunch of haters out there who are not celebrating this. And Michael mentioned some of them up front. So here's a prime example from Fox's crazy Janine Pirro while Brittney was in jail. Take a look.
I'm tired of everyone saying she's a hostage and she's a political prisoner and all this stuff. She's been going to Russia since 2014. Right? Playing basketball there, making $1 million, whatever she makes. And she knows what the laws are in Russia. But she committed a crime. The fact that it's not a crime in this country, although I don't know about the hashish oil, doesn't mean that Russia has to abide by our laws. Let's just take off the table the woman who hates the national anthem, who probably is not going to hear it for the next 9 years if she's over there. And that's something else that teased the hell out of me. You don't want to hear it. You don't even want to come out of the locker room. Forget you're going to take a knee.
But you know what,
you don't
Judge,
want to hear.
you know
Wait,
what,
no,
Judge-
Lawrence. Let me finish
go
on
ahead.
this. Here's the bottom line. She expects that country to come in full bore to take care of her.
Yeah, we expected Janine because she's an American citizen. And the venom, first of all, you're lying that she hates the national anthem. What she hates is disparate treatment. What she hates is injustice and not the national anthem. I'm telling you, Mike, these folks, right? People like her, she make my blood boil. I mean, we went from like really cool, calm, and collected to now I'm ready to jump out of my skin over what she just said.
Yeah, that made me rage. That was the first time that I saw that segment, and just the venom that she spews on a daily basis. But you can tell that she just doesn't view Brittney Griner as her equal. Like, she's dehumanized her, and also they are more so than anyone. Like, they are adhering to this team sport mentality, to where if this were a Republican sports star, if this were, I don't know, like, I'm not a sports person, so I can't give you any examples, but a right-wing sports star who goes on Joe Rogan and all this stuff, they would be screeching at the top of their lungs. But because it's somebody who they don't like, who they perceive to be their political opponent, from a race and marginalized group that they already don't care about and have been predispositioned to hate, they just don't care. And so, that's why they're able to justify this egregious act by the Russian government when, as you said, they're using her as a prop. Like, this isn't even about Brittney. She just got caught up in this. So to see that, yeah, it's rage bait for sure, but it's entirely predictable from Judge Jeanine Pirro.
Yeah, very much. That is exactly who she is, and she displays exactly who she is on a regular basis. So I guess that's positive. At least we know who we're dealing with. And now that Brittney is indeed free, nothing has changed with these white supremacist types. Let's take a look at what good old Tommy, who has her athletic line, is not even made in America. But I digress. I wonder if Brittney Griner will sing and stand for the national anthem now that the United States has compromised national security to free her. Hashtag Brittney Griner. You know what, Tommy, you need to get a clue, okay? First Amendment rights in the United States of America. And last time I checked, people can stand up and fight against injustice. And like, you care more about the singing or the standing of a national anthem than you do about people having freedom and justice and equality. It's really something wrong with these people. And the hypocrite that Tommy is, because she loves America so much, but her athletic line is not even made in America.
Yeah, and I love how she's talking about how this was compromising US national security. We all know that if Victor Bout was an American citizen, guilty of the same things, albeit in an American context, all those Republicans like Tomi Lahren, they'd be arguing that he should have the legal right to buy a gun. So I'm sorry, spare me the outrage. And with Tomi Lahren, for her to say that, oh, well, she better not disrespect the national anthem or the flag. I'm sorry, but as American citizens, we're the patriotic ones for exercising those rights. We're the patriotic ones for wanting to make the country a better place. That doesn't make her disloyal or a hater of the United States. It makes her somebody who acknowledges that this country isn't as good as it can be, and to believe that it could be better makes you, by definition, patriotic. So I'm so sick of these frauds who think that they have a monopoly on patriotism and they're the ones who love America. They don't. Like, as American citizens, we have the right to protest. And if Brittney Griner comes back and she chooses to take a knee during the national anthem, that's her right as an American citizen. Or as they'd say, this is what the troops fought for, right? So spare me the fake outrage. They're just trying to find ways to gin up hate. But this is to be expected from them because that's all they can do. They traffic in hate, and that's their number one job. So they're just doing what they're paid to do.
Yep, exactly. Follow the money on this one. And something you said, Mike, reminded me of a quote that I'm going to paraphrase from James Baldwin. But he said something like, I love this country more than any other. And so because of that love, I reserve the right to critique it all the time. And that is exactly it, reserving the right to critique this country in a way that forces us to be better, to do better, to stand up for better for all people. So amen to that. And let's put up this tweet, which infuriates me too. The pothead is an important role simply because she's queer and black. Never mind the US Marine, pathetic. Now, what is pathetic? Gina is your host, because Brittney Griner's wife spoke out for the Marine that's over there too. Even in her moment of joy, they know that we got to bring Paul home. I mean, these people, boy, I tell you. Let's put up this next one real quick. Meet Brittney Griner and Marine Paul Whelan, both Americans. Both were convicted in Russian courts on dubious charges, both serving multiple year sentences in Russian prison. Brittney hates America. Paul served America. Guess which one Biden traded a terrorist to free? They are so full of it. Again, just another example. And so listen, we have to stay vigilant against this kind of hate. We really do. These people are crazy. There's no other way to describe it. And their proximity to whiteness has totally blinded them. They know not, they care not. And this is totally insane what these people are saying. And so what we're seeing is the white supremacy, it just continues and continues and continues. And guess what? We are going to continue to fight it. We're not going to accept things as they are in this country. We're going to continue to stand up. So we're gonna end this the way we started, at least this segment, Mike, as hard as it may be, which is congratulations, Brittney Griner. We are so glad that you are home. Congratulations to your family. And as Mike and I, we do critique this Biden administration hard, baby, hard in the paint. But on this one, we are going to give you an A, 2 thumbs up for fighting to make sure that Brittney came home. And then also there's former Governor Richardson, who was fighting too. And there were many others probably that we cannot name. But for all your thoughts, your wishes, the prayers, and the people who were doing the behind the scenes work, it worked. And Brittney Griner is home. We'll be right back after this.
All right, well, the Young Turks special election day coverage dropping.
An amazing power panel.
Look at this panel. You want to talk about power?
It's like a smart Destiny's Child.
We're all too strong. We spun a revolution. Yes, another one.
Aren't you excited?
Wow. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, everybody. Yay!
You know, this is where it started in a lot of ways.
Why is he lying? Because these are acts that you can commit with impunity.
Most of us are usually in boxer shorts underneath.
I went with the pants today.
This is the first ever power panel with Donald Trump as president.
We have elected the top Twitter troll in the country.
We have to stop pretending that race is not an issue in this country.
Now keep in mind, racism had gone away until Barack Obama brought it back.
That's right.
They want to protect life so much that they want to ensure that insurance companies don't cover your maternity care. You don't see a lot of news coverage in the mainstream media of the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests that happened throughout the country.
Black Americans are hurting. Minorities in this country are hurting.
We always talk about starting from the bottom up, but the problem is the bottom up is always the least amount of power. No one cares about them, and until someone actually cares about them, then we'll do something about it.
Please, for God's sake, America, understand, acknowledge, and work towards getting to a new reality where Black lives actually matter.
Welcome back to the show. Viewer comments, here we go. From TYT members, Mickey C. Hey, Mickey C says, with Griner finally released, Nina is going to be flying high today. You better know it. Hello, somebody on that one. And on Twitch, a Dringar Dragon says, woohoo! Nina is going to be dancing over the Brittney Griner news. You know that. I feel like taking off this mic right now, baby, and cutting the 2-step. But my producers, they wouldn't like that so much. But I am so excited for Brittney and her family. family, obviously. And then on YouTube Super Chat, Sun Queen says, I'm so happy for her and her family. And Nina, you kept reminding us of her every single day that your show aired. Now that's love. Oh, thank you, Sun Queen. It really was. We did not want her story to die. We know what happens when people stop talking about these types of issues. So excited to say, instead of saying in this moment, hashtag we are BG, we are BG. I do want you to hashtag we are BG and welcome home. That's what we can do today. Thank all of you so much for you sending your thoughts and prayers and just doing whatever you could to lift that family. We did that. Yes, we did that on Unbossed. And the same thing with your help for our family and friends, our sisters and brothers in Jackson, Mississippi. We raised well over $30,000 in our help at tyt.com/relief. Y'all doing the daggone thing. Y'all know that. Oh, we love you so very much. On to more good news. Mike and I, we letting the good times roll on Unbossed today, which is rare. But today is a good day for the LGBTQ community across the country. The House did pass. Yes, it did pass. Underline it, bold it, underscore, baby. Do what you need to do. Landmark legislation protecting same-sex marriage. Check out this good headline. Yeah, let's check this out together. House passes landmark legislation protecting same-sex marriage. Final vote was 258 to 169, with 39 Republican members joining every House Democrat. Go ahead, 39 Republicans. I'm usually on you, but I am gonna shout you out right now. You did the right thing on that. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, the House gave final passage on Thursday to landmark legislation protecting same-sex marriage in a bipartisan vote that reflects a remarkable shift in public opinion just over a quarter century after Congress defined marriage as a union between a man and a woman. We are on a roll. And this final vote of 258 to 169, with 39 Republican members joining every House Democrat in supporting the bill, one Republican, Burgess Owens of Utah, voted present. I don't even know why hell you show up, you just gonna vote present. That shouldn't even be allowed. That wasn't allowed in the Ohio legislature, Mike. In some legislatures you can vote present, but damn it, if you're present, vote. Show whose side you on, stop playing games. Democrats hustled because Republicans will take over in January, so good. They finally did something of consequence before they no longer control the House of Representatives. But the House was one of the final acts, or the vote was one of the final acts of this lame duck Congress before the balance of power shifts and Republicans take control of the House in January. The bill, which provides a degree of relief for hundreds of thousands of same-sex married couples in the United States, next goes to President Joe Biden, who has said he will sign the legislation promptly and proudly. Good for you, Mr. President. Mike?
Yeah, I don't wanna understate how important this is. I know that we've had marriage equality in this country now for years, but just think about how far we've come. So in the early 90s, Bill Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act into law, and it was widely supported. This was viewed as the compromise. The compromise was, if states pass their own same-sex marriage laws, then the federal government will not recognize that. And now, just a couple of decades later, we've completely embraced it with 39 Republicans. Like, that honestly is shocking that they got on board. So this is really, really huge. And again, it's not like anything is changing, but just as somebody who was in a same-sex marriage myself, after I saw Clarence Thomas's opinion in Dobbs and I saw him highlight Obergefell, immediately I felt nothing but panic, because even if I'm in a blue state, we don't know how far these Republicans will go, because after we saw them immediately after Roe v. Wade was overturned, talk about the need to enact a nationwide abortion ban, then what's to stopping them from doing the same when it comes to same-sex marriage in the event Obergefell is struck down? So to see this, like, I promise you, same-sex couples across the country are breathing a little bit easier. I mean, certainly this doesn't mean that all of our problems are solved, of course, but this is really a huge step in the right direction. I know that older LGBTQ+ people, this is huge, especially for them, because they've seen how in their lives they were demonized. They were viewed as disease during the AIDS crisis. They were viewed as, pedophiles and whatnot. And now to see the country do a 180, it really is cause for celebration, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. And you're right to point that, because the Supreme Court is still in play here. So the fact that the Congress did this, saying that states have to recognize, even states where they may do things that are unseemly, very unseemly, that they must recognize same-sex marriage, is indeed a victory. And this should come as no surprise. I guess what the surprise is that finally the Congress is acting in a way that the American people want to see them act. Record high, 70% in the US support same-sex marriage. Let's put up the graph from the Gallup poll showing this polling. So yes, we have come a mighty long way in this country. And let's remind you of something that Representative Mondaire Jones put up in a tweet. Growing up closeted, I never imagined I'd one day preside over consideration of the Respect for Marriage Act. This moment and what this means for same-sex and interracial couples across the country can't be overstated. We're making history and keeping in the fight together. Oh yeah, absolutely that. And let's just go ahead and jump to this little breakdown that this woman had. This Republican. We just need to go ahead and just put that up there for all the world to see.
Speaker, I'll tell you my priority: protect religious liberty, protect people of faith, and protect Americans who believe in the true meaning of marriage. I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. And I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Representative, you are the one that's misguided. And that little act, that performance you just put on, nobody's buying it. And the Academy Award does not go to you for your hatred. Woman, are you out of your mind playing games with the American people like that? You are out of your damn mind. Mike, I'm telling you, this is one that I could get out of my chair on.
I can't tell you how much joy that clip brings me. This isn't even one of those instances where it's like, okay, if we look back at this moment 10 years later, we're gonna see how ridiculous it is. No, it's ridiculous right now. It's hysterical. Like, I don't think she realizes how insane she sounds. And I did a little bit of research into her earlier today. So she's very much aligned with the Family Research Council, which the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated as a hate group. So she has been consumed by hate. She thinks that gay people are inferior, and she actually believes that she's being victimized by queer people just having equal rights in this country. And it's not a new right that we've won. Like, we've had it, we're just solidifying it. And that is enough to make her cry. Look, her tears are delicious. I love it. I hope she cries all night.
Her tears are delicious. Mike, I'm gonna have to use that. Her tears are delicious. And
I love it so much. I love it so much.
I mean, Mike, if she doesn't want to be in a same-sex marriage, she doesn't have to. You know, that's
it's that easy.
Thing, right?
It's that simple.
she don't have to do it if she don't want to. That's freedom, baby.
Don't get gay married. And like, for all of these conservatives who hate gay people, straight people are the ones who keep having all these gay kids. So it's your fault. Like, they're the ones who have to be blamed. It's just, it's so ridiculous. The fact that my marriage victimizes her to that extent is great. I didn't know that I had this much power, but I love it. It's hysterical to me. I'll be following her career from now on, because she certainly produces some bangers. That was great.
Yeah, she does. It was indeed delicious tears. They're quoting Mike. All right, so who could be responsible? Fox News is at it again. Watch this.
Midterm cycle. What did that tell us? It's time now for Republicans to start paying a little bit of attention and embracing the voting system that we have, and not the one that they wish that they had. They need to accept the rules as they are.
What was that Hannity saying? That accept the rules as they are, the voting rules as they exist and not as they want them to be? I mean, who in their right mind, especially people who run for office for a living, would not want voters to have access to the ballot box, unfettered access? through mail-in, early voting, all the ways, making voting a national holiday. Why wouldn't you want that, GOP? Oh, you wouldn't want that because you guys were rigging the game and it came to bite you in the behind in Georgia. So what you just watched was Sean Hannity trying to figure out why Republican voters weren't using their voting rights properly. Yeah, you heard me right. And I've got a wild guess. Fox News has been spoon feeding their viewers voting disinformation and misinformation and conspiracy theories this entire time. And it came back, as I said, to bite them in the you-know-where. And we showed you this headline 3 times this week. We have to do it again. After years of attacking early voting, Fox News worries early voting attacks backfired for the GOP. Yeah, it did. With the Georgia runoff election nearly over, Fox personalities reassessed their network's efforts to discourage Republicans from getting out to vote. Mike, now I think this is delicious, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, I don't know how they thought this would end for them. There was one clip in particular of Charlie Kirk responding to Herschel Walker's loss. And he was basically saying, look, I get that I've been telling you that these elections have been rigged, but you still got to vote. I mean, why would somebody vote if you've been telling them now for more than a year that their vote doesn't matter? Of course, they're going to do the logical thing and stay home. So it's just absurd to me. And in my state of Oregon, we've had vote by mail since 1993. That was the first election that it was statewide. And it's not controversial here. If you took away vote by mail from us, even Republicans would be against that because we've all been using it and it's been fine. But we all know why Republicans don't like vote by mail. It's because it increases turnout. And when turnout is higher, their prospects go down. So to see this all backfire and blow up in their faces, it really is cathartic to watch because they should have anticipated this. Again, I've just got to say, you can't tell voters that if they vote a certain way, it's not going to count, or voting in general doesn't count because the whole system is rigged. There's no like actionable thing besides staying home. So that's the only conclusion that these viewers are going to take away from it. So, I mean, they made their bed, so now they're going to have to lie in it.
Yeah, the Republican voters did just what they asked them to do. And now they're like, oops, we didn't mean that. Not like that. So yeah. Republicans definitely have played themselves, Mike, and that is delicious. I don't know, you got me on delicious right now. Now they are on cleanup duty, which is what Sean Hannity was doing in that video. And Hannity added later regarding the Georgia race, it was estimated yesterday, which was Tuesday, he was referring to Tuesday, when voting started in Georgia, that Herschel Walker, because of early voting, mail-in voting in Georgia, he went into yesterday's elections down by 200,000 to 250,000 votes. That's insane. There is a reluctance and resistance of Republicans to vote by mail or vote early. You think, Sean Hannity? They've been fed a steady diet of don't do it. They didn't do it, and look what happened. Your guy lost. Yeah, that's what happened. They followed your instructions. And Laura Ingraham, one of my best, Pumpkin, you are the best, tells Hannity he should get pissed off. Watch this.
Republicans need to get their act together and play the ballot game like the Democrats do, or they can't go into every election down 500,000 votes.
Yeah, well, at least McCarthy, he won the House, but everyone else has to make a case as to why they deserve. Like, and I like Ronna McDaniel a lot. I've said that. I like her. She's a great person and great woman. But I mean, you do have to make the case as to why you actually deserve to get reappointed. I mean, a college basketball coach would have already lost his job with this record. So, we're going to apply at least the same standards to this as that. So
I'm not getting involved in that match. However, I like you. I don't know. I like it when you're pissed off. I mean, even when you're pissed off
in the water, Hannity. It's okay.
Laura works my last nerve, Mike. Really, ever, honestly, works my last nerve, and that she's pissed. Pissed about what? Because Republicans did exactly what they asked. Voters did exactly what they asked them to do.
I love how he calls it the ballot game or something. What, voting? That's the game that we're playing. We're voting. Right. That's what a democracy offers us, right? We don't have a perfect democracy, but we still have the ability to cast our votes. But that's a game. I mean, this is the way that they think about voters. This is why they're kind of giving up the game here, because they know that if you expand the options to vote, this is going to hurt them. This is why they opt for voter suppression as an electoral strategy. But now, again, it's backfired. And now it's shocking to me that they're surprised. They're like the meme of the surprised Pikachu face, where they can't believe that what they said blew up in their face. And I'm loving every second of it, because even if they're not going to change, just the fact that they are feeling a little bit of pressure to be introspective, that is satisfying to see.
Very much so. Very satisfying. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Indisputable has been named the fastest growing news TV show in the United States of America, compared to all shows on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and roughly 30 others. What do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable. Donald Trump radicalized citizens. He's the chief terrorist. Republicans still want you to think that critical race theory is the greatest evil that can happen in K-12 education. It's not even taught. I guarantee you this, David. If he would have taken a knee during the national anthem to bring awareness to the need for more money for cancer research in America, he would not have had that response. It was the fact that he took a knee for black folk and brown folk. You rather pick the voters because you're scared of the voters picking the politicians. It frightens you. But we coming. When you are in a privileged position, equality looks like oppression to you. The Karenicity runs deep in this one. We provide a mirror for reflection and a mirror for correction.
So what if I have 35? Don't hit me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
So let's put up the graphic of this Karen in peak performance. Boom. They want anarchy so they can start creating their own rules.
Can you share with me some examples?
When they were running around during the terrorist attack on January 6th saying, hang Mike Pence. So those are the people I'm talking about. That's a problem, correct? You work for Mike Pence, stand up for the guy. Do not allow the ideology of politics to evaporate the humanity that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, so I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed in this country, so I won't stop. And you won't stop either.
Universal health care, raising the minimum wage, doing something about climate change and gun violence and an unjust justice system that locks up black and brown folks. We're not going for the okie doke no more.
I think Nina Turner is the leader of the progressive movement right now.
It is absolutely a sin and a shame to be in the 21st century in America and having people who are elected to office not only try to separate us, but also use public policy to make it harder to vote.
The questions that we get asked is how you gonna pay for it? I said, we gonna pay for it the same way we pay for the tax cuts. That's how we gonna pay for it. We gonna pay for it the same way that we give military industrial complex contractors. That's how we gonna pay for it.
If standing up for a universal health care or Medicare for all is wrong, Jink, I don't want to be right. If believing that working people deserve to have paid family and medical leave is wrong, I don't want to be right. If wanting everyday people of this nation to live a good life is wrong, then I don't want to be right.
And we are being tested whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, people power enough to stand up and do what is right for ourselves and generations yet unborn.
I'm Nina Turner, and I am unbought and unbossed.
When I started, TYT had already been around for 5 years. It was very possible that it was just gonna crumble and fall apart.
Long before I started working here, I listened to years of TYT.
I came in as a college kid at SC. I was trying to get into broadcast.
I was in a family that thought we were liberal Republicans.
I wish I could sit down with people and give them the opportunity to get to know me on a deeper level.
We moved generations. Am I proud of that? Hell yeah, I am.
Welcome back to the show. Viewer comments time, the second time. Stop Dragon says, logged in a little late. Nina and Mike with exclamation point. Well, thank you, Stop Dragon, even though you're late. We're so glad that you're here. And Twitch, who is NY, says, my grandfather was gay and didn't tell us until he was 80. His partner, who we call Uncle Hank, wasn't allowed to see him on his deathbed because they weren't married. Every time we make progress, I think of my beautiful grandpa Jim, who is NY, says, thank you so much for sharing that heartfelt story with us. Thank you so much. And on YouTube Super Chat, Queen G says, get that gold cross off your chest, Laura Ingram, devil. You got that right. That was delicious, Queen G. Yeah, take the cross off, baby. Take it off. Woo, that was beautiful. Thank you all for your comments. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And again, who is NY says, thank you for sharing that story about your grandfather. And there's so many people just like that, Mike, who have stories to tell. And so glad they shared that with us. New York Times walkout. Yeah, we got the journalists doing a digital walkout at the New York Times, and workers are rising up all over this country in every sector, from nurses and coal miners, Amazon workers, Starbucks partners, teachers, and journalists. What are they asking for? Higher pay, better benefits, better work conditions. It is what all workers are asking for. And today, journalists at the New York Times are engaged in a digital strike. Let's put this up from Amanda Hess, her tweet from yesterday. Yesterday, Amanda Hess, she's a critic at large at the New York Times and the vice president of the News Guild of New York. This is a union for media workers. She posted this: we are asking readers to not engage in any at New York Times platforms tomorrow and stand with us, tomorrow being today, with us on the digital picket line. Read local news. How about that? Listen to public radio. Make something from a cookbook. Break your wordly streak. And that's coming from, again, from Amanda, who is the vice president of the News Guild of New York. That is right. We can do that. Stand in solidarity. Let's put up this headline: New York Times poised for first mass staff walkout in 40 years. Day-long action comes as union and management clash over wages and remote work. And so the New York Times is bracing for a 24-hour walkout on today by hundreds of journalists and other employees in what would be the first strike of its kind at the newspaper in more than 40 years. This reporting is coming from the Associated Press through The Guardian. Newsroom employees and other members of the News Guild of New York say they are fed up with bargaining that has dragged on since their last contract expired in March of 2021. The union announced last week that more than 1,000 employees would stage a 24-hour work stoppage starting at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, that is today, unless the two sides reached a contract deal. They go further. Negotiations lasted for more than 12 hours into late Tuesday and continued on Wednesday, but the sides remain far apart on the issue, including wage increases and remote work policy. So as of last night, so the workers were planning to march out today. They're asking people to not read the New York Times to help them with this digital strike. And the management of the New York Times, instead of saying, hey, let's try to work this out, they said they are prepared and they're gonna bring in journalists from other countries who may not have the same union connections as the journalists here in the United States. Mike, this is just another example of workers rising up all over the country, and I love to see it.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of those stories that gives me hopium, because as dysfunctional as our government is and as state governments are, the rise of labor in the United States really is something that we all should be watching, because this is huge. And the New York Times management is saying the same thing that management always says in response to a strike. They're trying to make it seem as if the workers themselves are victimizing the readers, hence why they have to bring in these international reporters, i.e. scabs. But listen, folks, don't cross the picket line. I don't know how many people read the New York Times regularly, but I know a lot of people on my feed play Wordle, and just don't. Give it a day. stand in solidarity. And this is my advice to everyone. Like, it's very difficult in a capitalist system to organize a boycott, but one thing that you can always do to show solidarity is never ever cross that picket line. I can't stress that enough. So in the event you have a local Starbucks that is organizing, don't go there. Go to a local coffee shop instead. These are small actions that we can take that make a huge difference. And it doesn't seem like it, but it really does. So standing in solidarity with workers as they push for better pay, better working conditions is always something that we can easily do, because we're technically not doing anything. We're just choosing to not engage with that platform or buy the product. So yeah, labor is on the rise in America, and in every single sector we're seeing it. And this is a sign that's very positive, needless to say.
Yeah, it is. I'm loving it. Finally, I mean, the uprising is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Workers are tired. They're not going to take it anymore. Than 98% of us, 98%, and we are all in the same boat when it comes to that, because 98% of us, people who have to work for a living, and some of us may be from a salary perspective at the top of that working class, some in the middle and some at the bottom. But baby, if you ain't got a sugar daddy or sugar mama or sugar somebody, you work for a living. And we got to be in solidarity with our sisters and brothers and family and friends. So go ahead on, News Guild of New York, do what you do. Amazon tips denied. Yeah, we back on Amazon again. Amazon continues to be truly ridiculous, but Washington, D.C. is trying to put them in their place. Check out this headline. Amazon is being sued for allegedly stealing drivers' tips in D.C. Is that how they making all the multi-millions of dollars? Y'all stealing the drivers' tips? Really? Come on now. Amazon is facing legal trouble for theft. And here is why this is happening. The District of Columbia has sued Amazon over claims the company was stealing tips from flex drivers. As the Federal Trade Commission argued last year, DC claims Amazon changed its policies in 2016 so that it would use large portions of drivers' tips to cover base pay and operational costs. Now, you know what? DC, like the federal government, needs to put the hammer on these fools, but glad the District of Columbia is doing it. The company not only used misleading language, no surprise there, in its response to worried couriers, but falsely told customers that 100% of the tips would go to the driver. So they stealing in line and stealing, stealing in line and stealing, cheating, lying and stealing usually goes hand in hand. That's what they're doing. Amazon Flex drivers use their own vehicles to deliver goods and groceries ordered through programs like Prime Now and Amazon Fresh. The FTC alleged the company kept drivers' tips over a 2.5-year period. But that's not even enough, the Washington AG said. Take a look at this. When a company is caught stealing from its workers, it is not enough for the company to repay the amount stolen. Stealing from workers is theft, and significant penalties are necessary to strongly disincentivize this unlawful conduct. So they lying, they cheating, and they stealing. Yeah, that's what they're doing. And the timing of this lawsuit is less than ideal for Amazon because, so glad you asked, the company just launched a Thank My Driver feature that lets Alexa users in the United States share their appreciation for the courier who dropped off their latest package. While it's supposed to motivate drivers, the gratitude will only be verbal in most cases. Amazon is only handing out $5 rewards to drivers for the first 1 million thank yous. Oh, Mike, I sigh. And gratitude is a beautiful thing. It really is. Human nature, we love to be thanked and praised and appreciated. Those words are one thing, baby. Putting some down payment on the words mean a whole lot. But Amazon is caught in the act of lying, cheating, and stealing.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised, but they really have a lot of nerve. And I think that the district attorney, or the attorney general rather, for DC put it best by saying it's not just that they have to return those stolen wages, those stolen tips, but they have to be penalized. I mean, think about this. if you or I walked into a grocery store and we stole something, we wouldn't just have to give that back. We would be penalized. We would go to jail. We would be fined. So for a big company to do this, the same has to happen if we have an equal justice system. And one thing about this story that stood out to me is that Amazon stopped doing this. They stopped stealing once they realized that the FTC was looking into this. So in other words, they knew that what they were doing was wrong, obviously, but they stopped only when they had to. This is why you have to break up these types of companies. This is why we need to utilize antitrust. They get so big and so brazen that even if Amazon is penalized, I mean, it's a slap on the wrist regardless of what that fine is, because this is a multi-billion-dollar company. They could be $1 trillion company by now. And so the fact that they don't give those tips to drivers, or they didn't for a 2.5-year period, when they're using their own vehicles, which puts strain on those vehicles, it's beyond the pale, honestly. And I want people to be able to boycott Amazon, but they're so big that they're ubiquitous in the US economy. It's almost impossible. So this is one of those companies that they've gotten too big and they have to be reined in. So I'm glad, as you said, Senator, the federal government needs to step in, but at least the District of Columbia is doing something, because this can't stand. I mean, wage theft isn't necessarily a new phenomenon, obviously, in this country, but just how brazen these companies are getting is really something to be said about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the second phase of the Gilded Age in the United States of America. Dr. Robert Reich, former labor secretary for President Clinton, lays that out time and time again. Good on DC, Mike, as you said, but we need the feds to step in with the hammer on these fools, because if they don't step in, if they don't make it hurt, they will continue to do this. So owner donors are in full effect. The oligarchs are in full control for now. But we're gonna rise up and keep pushing and keep electing people who actually care about the people they are supposed to serve. Shame on you, Amazon. And good for you, District of Columbia. Keep the hammer on them. And Mike, your other point about Amazon is so big. I mean, it is really it is a part of the landscape in this country. So the only thing that we really can do is make them be better, make them do better, because they're not going anywhere. That is a fact. So we gotta make them do better and be better, and we need the government to do that. So again, good for you, District of Columbia. Oh, we're coming up on the wishbone. I can't tell y'all how this wishbone was supposed to be talked about on Monday, and here it is Thursday. But Eugene Debs, baby, is about to get his moment. He's beloved by many contemporaries as a man, quote, too good for this world, who would give the clothes off of his back for anybody in need. Eugene Debs was a prominent leader of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen in his youth. This man stood up for what was right, for what is just, and for what is good. And please, if you don't know about Eugene Debs, there are many books, many documentaries, baby. You better go ahead and check out Eugene Debs. We need more of the Debs spirit right now in the 21st century. But this is the quote that Mike and I want to share with you today for our wishbone. I am opposing, hello somebody, I am opposing a social order in which it is impossible for one man who does absolutely nothing that is useful to amass a fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars, while millions of men and women who work all the days of their lives secure barely enough for a wretched existence. You better say that, Eugene Debs. He did say that, and that quote is timeless. And thank him for laying it out. We do oppose a social order that makes people grovel for the crumbs at the master's table when they do little or nothing. And Eugene Debs said millions of dollars, and now we're talking about billions, maybe even trillions of dollars. Mike, what are some of your thoughts about the one and only, the great Eugene Debs?
Yeah, I think that is a quote that is timeless, as you said. It's perfect. Like, these large corporations, they are parasites. They're sucking the lives out of workers. And I think that people are finally realizing that this employer-employee relationship, this dynamic, is incredibly abusive, and people are standing up, and they're finally realizing that if you bind together, you have more power than them. They need you more than you need them, because even though our livelihoods depend on it, so we do need them, unfortunately, the difference is that we're the ones who make them money. They wouldn't be rich without their workers. So they wouldn't have gotten to where they are had they not stolen that wealth by exploiting their workers' labor. So that quote is just, it's brilliant, it's perfect. And again, it's never going to get old because we're always going to have this problem so long as we have capitalism. And I don't anticipate we're going to overthrow it anytime soon. So yeah, I hope that people hear that quote and it resonates with them because it certainly resonates with me.
Oh, with me too, Mike. I am opposing a social order that ... You said that, Eugene Debs. That quote will live on. We must continue to fight to make this world a better place. We know that. And it is worth fighting for. You know what I want you to do about this time? I want you to keep the faith. Absolutely. Stay encouraged, even in the midst of so much heaviness. Do not get weary and well doing. Yes, by all means, keep the faith. But you know what you got to marry with that faith? The fight, baby. Keep the faith and keep the fight. Until next time, take good care.